Are you looking for the best states to invest in rental properties in 2025? With the right state, you can protect your investment, maximize your cash flow, take advantage of booming economies, all while staying in a landlord-friendly state. These states have pro-landlord laws, booming economies, and people are moving to them in droves. Let's dive in and find out where your next cash flow rental property should be. Number 5, good old Tejas. Texas is a very good state to be a landlord. In Texas, you can file for eviction 3 days after your tenant misses their latest payment. And there is no statewide rent control. If you're a landlord or want to become one, you still have to treat your tenants fairly, but in Texas, you can get them out quickly if you need to. Texas is also very affordable. The median house price in Texas is still well below the national average. The median house price in Texas is about $326,000. So naturally, if you have a loan on a house that doesn't cost as much money, your monthly loan payment is lower, therefore allowing for more cash flow. So the fact that Texas has about $100,000 less than the national average house price right now means you should be able to cash flow. Some of these markets could be priced even cheaper. Places like San Antonio or Corpus Christi are really, really good because the house prices are even cheaper. And a ton of people are moving to Texas. It constantly ranks as the number 1 or number 2 state that people are moving to. In fact, about 470,000 people move to Texas every single year. And that is a good thing because if people move there, they need somewhere to live, and some people want to or have to rent. So if you're a landlord in Texas, you are holding something that is in limited supply. It's always good in business to own things or have things that are in limited supply. Texas is also a very, very business-friendly state. Tesla, Oracle, Hewlett-Packard have all made big investments into Texas. Texas has a GDP of over $2 trillion, which makes it the second largest economy by state next to California. A ton of business are in Texas because the laws are very business friendly with low income tax and not a ton of regulation. In fact, in 2023, Texas ranked as the number 1 state to do business in by CNBC. All right, on to number 4, Florida. Similar to Texas, it is very landlord friendly. Again, in about 3 days after the tenant misses a payment, you can evict them, and it usually only takes 25 to 30 days to get a tenant out, which again, you're not kicking them out just to kick them out. It's because they're not paying or not keeping up on their side of the lease, and it's really hard to cash flow if it takes 2, 3, 4 months to get a tenant out because you're not collecting rent and you still have expenses. So assuming you're doing things the right way with integrity, the sooner you get somebody out that's not supposed to be there, the better off you'll be. And affordability is still really, really good in Florida. Right now in areas like Tampa or Jacksonville, the median home price is still around $300,000 to $350,000 depending on where you're looking to invest. Again, that makes your initial outlay of cash or your initial loan lower, so your monthly payments lower, you'll cash flow more. People are migrating down to Florida almost as much as Texas, but not quite. There are about 1,000 people a day that move into Florida. So you're looking at 350, maybe 360,000 people moving to Florida every year. Again, you have the supply that's in demand. And in 2023, the Florida economy grew by over 6%, which is even more than Texas as far as economical growth goes. So it's a great economy to be in. And lastly, it's super business friendly. There is no state income tax in Texas, and it's an overall business-friendly state. You don't have to worry about snow or ice in Florida as much, but obviously you do have hurricanes and things like that that happen, so be careful for that. Number 3, Tennessee. It's a very landlord-friendly state, not quite as much as number 1 and number 2, but 14 days after missed payment, you're able to file for an eviction in Tennessee, which gives the tenant a little more time to maybe pay, but in general, it's still pretty quick where you can start the process of getting them out. Now, affordability in Tennessee has gone up a little bit in places like Nashville, but there are still incredible cities like Knoxville or Chattanooga where the median house price is between $275,000 and $325,000. And again, that is just the median. You can get really good properties in good areas for even less. The economy is pretty good in Tennessee for being in the Midwest as well. Amazon and Volkswagen have recently invested a ton of money to have business operations that are pretty large out of Tennessee, just because, similar to Florida, there is no state income tax. And people are moving to Tennessee. The population grew a little over 1% in 2023, which ranked it in the top 10 for inbound movements across the entire United States. Number 2, Georgia. Like the other states, Georgia is pretty landlord friendly. You can get a tenant out or start the process 7 days after a non-payment. Affordability in a hot city like Atlanta has gone up, but cities like Savannah, Georgia, or Macon, Georgia are still very affordable, with the median house price about $310,000, so well below the national average, which, if I didn't mention earlier, is about $420,000 right now. And the numbers aren't in for 2024, but 2024 was projecting Georgia to go up in state population by about 2.5%, which is a ginormous number. A lot of that's been driven by the port of Savannah, which is becoming one of the larger ports on the East Coast. Georgia is also known for being very, very business friendly. In fact, a lot of movies are shot out of Georgia because they give so many incentives to movie production companies to shoot and operate out of Georgia. Fun fact, Ozark on Netflix was a really cult show a few years ago. Most of that was filmed in Georgia. Because I'm in Missouri and have been down to the Ozarks, so I know that most of that was shot in Georgia because I read that and I could tell by looking at it. So that's just a little side note. But big corporations like Microsoft and Google are opening up huge branches and huge headquarters in Georgia because of the incentives that they give to businesses. And number one, Indiana. After I go over some reasons why I chose Indiana as number one, I'm gonna give you a few runners up, some other good states to invest. I'm just gonna name them off, not go into detail on them. In Indiana, you can usually get a tenant out within about a month to a month and a half after they stop making payment, so that's not too bad. You can get them out quickly and move on and get a new tenant in. Indiana is still extremely affordable. The median house price in Indiana is about $260,000, which is over $150,000 less than the national average. A decent amount of people are moving to Indiana. Indianapolis over the past decade or so has had a big revival. It's become a bigger city in the Midwest and people love going there. It's clean and safe. So having Indianapolis inside Indiana is very helpful. In 2023, the GDP of Indiana grew 4.2%. That is a sign of a very, very financially healthy state. It's got low property tax, not a ton of regulation, and it is centrally located. It is known as the Crossroads of America. So it's good to kind of be a state where a lot of people travel through and get to see and feel it and eventually maybe move to it. All right, some honorable mentions, and you're probably getting an idea of which type of states are the best states. It's going to be the Midwest and the Southeast for all the reasons I mentioned in this video. They just happen to be a little more red-leaning states just because that's how the taxes and laws and government is set up. It's not a political statement, it's just a fact based on the actual data. Some honorable mentions, in my opinion, Ohio is a really, really good market. I really like that. There are a lot of medium-sized cities in Ohio like Columbus and Toledo and Dayton and Cleveland and Cincinnati, so it's a great market for those medium-sized cities. I love Missouri. It's my home state. It's very, very similar. It's probably number 6 if I had to give a number 6. I love North Carolina. It's gotten a little bit more expensive recently. North Carolina and South Carolina are both great states as well, and you can't really go wrong in the Midwest or the Southeast no matter which state you pick. Just know that any investing strategy works in any state. Some states have just better laws and taxes and are set up better for different types of strategies, and for rentals, the Midwest and the Southeast are the best. If you want to learn how to buy rental properties using none of your own money with the methods that I have used to buy $50 million in real estate using none of my own money, check out this video over here where I walk through the BRRRR 2.0 and show you exactly how to do it. If you haven't subscribed, like this video, see you on the next one.